The shocking truth of the bronze serpent, Judgment Mercy revealed at 3 a.m. must-watch animation. The clock struck 3, the hour when shadows grow longer and the whispers of the past rise like ghosts. Under the silvery gaze of the moon, an eerie silence blanketed the abandoned village of Eldergrove. It was said that once the bronze serpent came alive with its secrets, no soul could escape its dark embrace. Legend spoke of a chilling curse, a punishment for those who dared to gaze too deeply into the serpent's hollow eyes. Was it mere myth, or was the village truly shrouded in horror? The wind howled through the broken windows, carrying fragments of stories untold. Just last week, old Mrs. Henderson claimed she saw the massive statue glimmer in the moonlight, scales reflecting an otherworldly glow. Each night, she could hear the low, guttural growl, echoing through the twisted alleys, as if the creature was warning them, or perhaps, calling for its own. Were the whispers of the villagers just figments of their imagination, or had they stumbled into something far more sinister? It didn't help that strange symbols appeared on the trees, marking a path with snaking lines and jagged edges, leading straight to the serpent's throat. Some likened it to a warning sign, don't follow, you might not leave. But lullabies of the curious called to the brave. Were they really prepared to unveil this cursed treasure at such terrifying hours? The tension thickened the air, a palpable force that wrapped around like a vice, squeezing tighter with every tick of the clock. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the wind picked up, it carried with it a terrible foreboding. Just then, the ground trembled, cracking open like the earth itself was desperate to expose what lay beneath. A distant chant rose in the night, striking fear into the hearts of the brave souls still lingering. It was then they noticed something glimmering in the distance, a light flickering as if beckoning, daring them to come closer. The serpent had awakened from its slumber and it was hungry. What happened next would change everything. The ground shook violently, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to linger. Clouds swirled above, each gust of wind intensifying the sense of doom. A feverish light pulsed from deeper within Eldergrove, illuminating twisted branches and crumbling walls. It was an invitation, a tantalizing lure pulling the brave closer, as if the serpent itself beckoned them forward. 5 figures stood there, hearts pounding in unison. Sarah, the ringleader, swallowed hard, glancing at her friends, Jake, whose palms were slick with sweat, Lila, biting her lower lip, Marcus, clutching a flashlight, and May, who was already debating whether to flee or advance. The air electrified, charged with tangible fear as the chanting grew louder, swirling around them like a menacing fog. Should we go? Jake whispered, his voice trembling. It felt like the question hung in the air, waiting for the others to voice their thoughts, but deep down, they all knew there was no backing down now. We came this far, Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the uncertainty buzzing in her gut. We have to see what it is. We can't turn back without knowing. They hesitated, caught in the lines between fear and curiosity. The flickering light pulsed in rhythm with the chilling chant, its cadence drawing them forward. It felt like the very earth compelled them, urging them down the twisted path marked by jagged symbols that now glowed faintly in the dark. As they moved, shadows danced at the corners of their vision. Lila felt a prickling down her spine that left her breathless. What if something happens? She asked, glancing back at the village they had grown up in. It felt different now, as if the very essence of Eldergrove had shifted into something haunting and unfamiliar. Stop being so scared. We're not leaving without answers. Marcus urged, pushing forward. But his bravado faltered as the ground gave another violent tremor, making Sarah brace herself against an ancient oak. She felt the bark bite into her skin, and for a fleeting moment, the whispers of the village echoed in her mind, warning her to turn back. As they neared the source of the unnatural light, the air thickened. It felt as if the very atmosphere was alive, filled with an otherworldly energy. The chant crescendoed, becoming an unearthly melody, and then out of the shadows, they saw it the bronze serpent loomed before them, majestic yet sinister. Its scales shimmered like molten gold under the moonlight, but something else caught their eye. An altar, drenched in blood-red runes, lay at the serpent's base. Fear constricted their chests as they approached. The chants turned into a cacophony of voices, almost pleading, reverberating through their bones. Suddenly, the serpent's eyes snapped open. Darkness poured from its gaze, flooding the air with dread. Each gaze that met its kaleidoscope of emotion sparked new understanding but brought with it a warning too deep to grasp. Lila screamed as the creature's growl echoed, shaking the very ground beneath them. "Run!" Jake shouted, but it was too late. The serpent twisted its body, coiling around the altar, its eye fixated on them, a deep rumble emanating from its throat. They stumbled back, fear riveting them in place, realization dawning this was no ordinary guardian of treasure, it was a judge, poised and ready to weigh their souls. Would they fall victim to its judgment, or would it offer them mercy? The moon hid behind dark clouds as shadows enveloped them. What lay beyond the serpent's judgment, and would they emerge unscathed, or be drawn into the depths of a curse intertwining their fates forever? Lila's heart thundered in her chest, her breath catching as the weight of the serpent's gaze bore down on her. "What does it want from us?" she gasped, eyes darting to her friends, each mirror reflecting terror back at her. Marcus, normally the bravest among them, was visibly shaking, his flashlight flickering in sync with his pulse. "We have to answer somehow," he muttered, his voice barely more than a whisper, but Sarah, clenching her fists, knew they were running out of time. "No more fear. It's judging us. We need to show that we're worthy." Determined, she stepped forward, her hands trembling but steadying against the urge to rush backward into the darkness. The growl became a low vibration, resonating in their bones like an ominous song. The serpent's massive head lowered, its eyes piercing into Sarah's soul, as if sifting through her intentions and fears. A sudden rush of wind blew through the clearing, chilling them, as the chanting escalated, now a blend of reverence and terror. "What if it doesn't like us?" Jake's voice wavered, panic creeping into his words. "What if it sees our fears? What if it sees it knows everything?" May interjected, her voice breaking as she clutched her arms, seeking comfort in physicality. "What if we don't make it out of here?" "Enough. We have to be brave." Sarah turned to the serpent, her heart racing, battling her fear. "If you're a judge, then judge us. We have a right to know our fate." The moment hung thick, suffocating. The air electrified, shimmers dancing on their skins as the serpent slowly expanded, its massive body shifting with an unsettling grace. "Brave," the serpent hissed, its voice a rumble of thunder echoing through the forest. "What is bravery without truth? Speak, for I will not judge shadows." With those words, a strange compulsion enveloped Sarah. She could no longer distinguish her inner voice from the serpent's haunting whispers. "My truth, I am afraid of failure. Of losing everything I love. My fear holds me captive." The admission spilled from her mouth like a confession to a priest. A chilling silence followed, the serpent watching, waiting in regal stillness. Each breath they took echoed in the charged air, a reminder of the stakes. The other four exchanged fearful glances. If Sarah spoke, should they share their truths too? Jake stepped forward, his feet barely moving as he spoke. "I'm afraid of being left behind. Of not being good enough. What if I never found my place?" His words trembled, breaking under the weight of truth. The serpent's eyes flickered, absorbing their confessions. "Fear is a poison that corrupts, but it can also be a key. May echoed, confused. "To what?" Just then, the altar ignited in crimson light, the runes scribed in vibrant energy. The cacophony grew louder, voices blending together like a storm of souls wanting to be heard. Marcus squeezed Lila's hand, uncertainty blooming pain in their chests. "What is this?" "It's not just a test. We shouldn't just share our fears without knowing what it means. Do it. Sarah urged, desperation lacing her voice. Please. One by one, they stepped forward, weaving their confessions into the shimmering fabric of the air around them. Each word resonated with the serpent, a ripple of energy flowing through the night, but just as the atmosphere thickened, a new realization dawned upon them. What if the serpent's judgment meant more than their fears? What if they were being bound to the very thing they sought to escape? As Lila whispered her truth, the ground trembled beneath them again, a warning flash sweeping through the trees. Then, from nowhere, a blinding light erupted from the altar, blinding them all. As they stumbled back, the darkness began to morph, the shadows at the edges shifting unnaturally. What choice do you make when truth and fear intertwine? And would they emerge as friends or foes in the eyes of the serpent dawning behind veils of shadows? The blinding light enveloped them, a scorching sun in the heart of darkness. Lila squeezed her eyes shut, feeling the electric pull of energy crackling all around. Her skin prickled as if it were both a blessing and a curse. When she finally opened her eyes, it was like peering into a new realm. The clearing had transformed. The verdant greens of the forest had faded, replaced by shifting shades of ethereal golds and purples. The altar pulsed with an angry glow, and the serpent loomed larger than ever, its scales glistening like molten metal, reflecting the chaos of their confessions around them. The chanting had stopped, replaced by a deafening silence that hummed in their ears. Where are we? Marcus's voice cracked, straining against the surreal scene. Sarah barely had time to catch her breath. I think we unlocked something, a piece of judgment, she whispered, drawn toward the altar like a moth to a flame. Or a curse, Jake added nervously, stepping back, but the pull felt too strong to resist. Suddenly, from the shadows, figures began to emerge. Flitting shapes of ancient beings, twisted and grotesque, with hollow eyes that seemed to absorb all light. They hovered just beyond the reach of the altar's glow, whispering in a language that clawed at Lila's sanity. What are they? May asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she grasped Jake's arm tightly. The keepers of our fears, murmured the serpent, its voice an ominous echo. They feed on doubt, amplifying it until it becomes unbearable. You have awakened them. As if responding to the serpent's words, the shadows lunged forward, swirling and writhing as they reached out for the group. Lila felt icy fingers graze her side, sending an electric jolt of terror up her spine. No! She cried, trying to break free, but the weight of their fears anchored her in place. Stand together! Sarah shouted, panic bubbling in her voice. Whatever this is, we face it as one. Each friend tightly gripped the next, forming a fragile circle. They were scared. They felt doubt crawling up their backs, but they were together. The warmth of that connection ignited a flicker of strength inside Lila. We can't let them win. She yelled, her voice cutting through the darkness. Speak your truths again. Marcus commanded, desperation clawing into each word. Let us drown out the noise. One by one, they took turns, repeating their confessions through trembling lips. The words hung in the air, swirling like smoke, clashing against the shadows that recoiled. I'm afraid, they each began, reaffirming their insecurities until the phrase morphed into a mantra, a battle cry. As they shared, Lila took a deep breath, feeling power seep into her veins. I fear, she declared with newfound conviction, that I will never truly be seen, that I will always hide in the shadows. But I won't hide anymore. In that moment of declaration, the once entwined shadows recoiled violently. A screech echoed through the clearing, shattering the quiet. The serpent's eyes widened, reflecting a myriad of emotions, as if it were realizing a profound truth of its own. Fear is potent, it binds and defines, the creature's voice thundered. But when faced, it loses its grip. The shadows screeched in agony, swelling and contracting, until they began to unravel, pulling away from the light of the altar. Just then, a fierce wind surged through the clearing, tearing at the remaining wisps of darkness. But the chaos was far from over. The ground underneath them began to tremble, the altar vibrating violently, pulsating as if alive. Lila could feel a danger rising, something brewing beneath the surface as the serpent's hissing intensified. "Prepare yourselves," it bellowed, its voice laced with urgency. "For judgment beckons, a reckoning is at hand, and not all will find the sanctuary they seek." Uncertainty washed over her, her heart raced as she gripped her friends tighter. What would this judgment look like? More importantly, what awaited them beyond the light of truth? As the altar blazed brighter than ever, casting surreal shadows into night, Lila realized they may not leave this place the same. The thought filled her with dread but also a glimmer of hope. But one question remained: could they unearth the real meaning of their revelations before it was too late? The ground shook and the forest screamed, all leading to one fateful decision they could still make. The ground beneath them trembled violently, shaking like a living creature desperate to escape some unseen threat. Lila's chest tightened as she felt her heart race, each thump reverberating in her ears like a deafening drum. An uneasy sense of betrayal twisted in her gut. How could they face their fears only to awaken something darker? "Hold on!" Marcus bellowed, his voice a thread of resolve against the cacophony of chaos. The altar blazed, and the serpent coiled menacingly, its gleaming scales sending sparks into the twilight. Suddenly, the air around them flickered, warping and bending as if reality itself were unraveling. Forms spilled from the altar, a torrent of fleeting shadows, indistinct and howling. Each specter resembled their deepest insecurities, flaring up from the very pit of their souls. Lila's breath quickened as images of rejection, failure, and aloneness threatened to consume her. "See it. Feel it." The serpent yelled above the chaos. "What you fear is but a reflection of your own heart. Find the light within and emerge from the grip of judgment." May quivered, her voice a tremor wrapped in dread. "What if we can't? What if we're not strong enough?" Her question sliced through the fray, reverberating among them like an echoing doom. "Do not question your strength," Lila shouted back, though uncertainty gnawed at her words. "We've faced worse together. We can beat this." Energized by her cry, they were linked more tightly than ever. Righteous anger surged through Lila, igniting a spark of defiance. She remembered the day Marcus had stood up for her, the warmth of Sarah's smile when they shared secrets, the unstoppable determination in Jake's eyes when he fought for what was right. They were not alone. "I will not be swallowed by rejection," she declared, lifting her chin with defiant purpose. "I am deserving of love." One by one, her friends joined in unison, their voices rising above the din, each confession a rallying cry. "I will embrace my flaws," said Marcus fiercely, eyes alive with strength. "I refuse to run from my fate," Sarah shouted, and the shadows recoiled as their truths cut through like daggers. As their voices reached a crescendo, the ground lurched beneath them. The shadows untangled, shrieking in a terrible cacophony as if unable to withstand the truth. Lila felt a surge of power, anxiety transforming into a cascading wave of energy, lifting her spirit higher with each voice that joined her chorus, but then, with a deafening crack, the ground beneath the altar split open. A storm of darkness surged from the gap, swirling like a cyclone ready to consume everything. Lila gasped as glimpses of her worst fears surged forward, a life filled with silence, devoid of connection and joy. "Stay focused," Jake cried, his voice barely piercing through the tumult. "Channel your truths. Let them guide us." Just when hope seemed to flicker dimly, a piercing light erupted from the altar, illuminating the clearing. The serpent, watching over them, began to pulse with vibrant colors. "You choose your path. Only by owning your fears can you reshape your fate. Claim your mercy." The shadows, instead of closing in, began to scatter like mist beneath the light, twisting away from the sanctuary they had created together. Lila felt it, the weight of despair lifting, but the flicker of danger still loomed. Suddenly, the earth rumbled once more, louder this time, and a low growl emanated from the chasm. It was primal, raw, a warning that they needed to act fast. This was no simple reckoning, something far more sinister was attempting to breach the surface. What else do we need to do? Sarah shouted over the deafening sound as chaos erupted around them. Lila's mind raced. We have to confront the heart of it. The source of our fears. But just as Lila prepared to step forward, a figure emerged from the darkness, part shadow, part man, eyes burning like embers of rage. The shadows shifted around it, forming a barrier, and Lila's breath caught in her throat. Who are you? She demanded, but the figure merely smiled, stretching its lips achingly wide. I am. What you refuse to acknowledge. A name without a face, a fear without an end. Lila's blood ran cold as the truth set in this was only the beginning of their judgment. What lay ahead would test their unity, but would they withstand the revelation before it shattered them? As the luminous altar began to crumble beneath the weight of revelation, one thought flickered in Lila's mind: what would they sacrifice to confront the shadows of their souls? The figure moved closer, each step echoing through the remaining silence as the chaos around them swirled like a storm. Lila felt the dread coiling tighter within her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Do you not recognize your own darkness? It crooned, voice as serpentine as the creature above them. Shadows danced at its feet, flickering like candles in a cold breeze, drawing back and forth as if reluctant to engage with the figure's menacing aura. You think you have found strength in your truths, but here lies the core of your powerlessness. Shut up! Marcus shouted, fury erupting from him like a geyser. Yet, beneath that bravado, Lila could see the flicker of fear in his eyes. It echoed within her a sinking feeling that threatened to swallow her. Lila took a deep breath. We've come too far to let this creature manipulate us. We have faced our fears together. We are strong. As if on cue, a wave of voices rose in unison, every member of their group declaring their own truths, their own battles against the shadows within. I am not alone. Jake yelled. My past does not define me. May found her voice, trembling yet resolute. I will fight against this. The figure recoiled, its shadowy visage twisting in outrage. You foolish children. You do not see the futility of your struggle. Your tribulations will only amplify, let it consume you. But this only fueled their resolve. Around the clearing, the pulsating glow from the altar grew brighter, each claim wrapping around them like chains of light, binding them together in defiance. If fear was a shadow, their unity became the light that pushed back against it. Find it. Lila shouted. Find the strength within ourselves. And just like that, they focused their thoughts inward. Memories flashed, a comforting hand on her shoulder during her lowest moments, the laughter shared among friends, the warmth of love offered even in the face of loss. Lila steadied her breath as waves of warmth washed over her, igniting the flame of courage within her soul. But the figure laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down her spine. You think this will save you? You are only stoking the fires of your own demise. It raised a hand, and the darkness surged forward, engulfing the altar in a suffocating embrace. A massive shadow loomed around them, tendrils reaching out, snaking toward their hearts. Lila's pulse quickened with desperation. We have to push back. Focus on the light. But just as they took a collective step forward, the ground beneath them fractured further, splits widening into deep ravines. Lila's heart sank. The radiant glow flickered, dimming under the threat of the consuming darkness. No, not now. She cried, panic flooding her senses. Embrace your wounds, face the memories that haunt you. The serpent hissed, its voice echoing through the chasms. This is where the real battle begins. In that moment, Lila felt the weight of her fears surge, the boy who had turned his back on her, the friend who had betrayed them, the moments of sheer loneliness. They crashed over her like waves, pulling her under. Help me. May's voice broke through her thoughts, a desperate gasp for connection that underscored their need for one another. With fear clawing at their hearts, Lila took one last look at her friends. Their eyes were wide, faces taut with worry, and she realized something: their bond, their truths, held power greater than any fear. Together. Lila yelled again, reaching out. But as they locked hands, the darkness surged at them with blind rage. The figure leapt into the fray, eyes blazing, mouth stretching into a horrific grin as if ready to consume them whole. Would they be able to rise against their pasts, or would they be swallowed by the weight of their fears? In that moment of impending doom, Lila's resolve hardened. Could they truly face the shadows lurking in their souls, or would the darkness overcome them all? And just as the shadows reached out, threading their cold fingers around Lila's wrist, a blinding spark surged through the group, pulsing like the heartbeat of their collective strength. What would this light reveal, and who among them might be lost in the aftermath? The light enveloped them, blinding yet warm, igniting a fire in Lila's chest. It swirled around her and her friends, cocooning them in a radiant aura that felt almost tangible. The shadows hissed in rage, recoiling as if burned by the glow. Lila felt a rush of hope amidst the chaos, a flicker of something profound stirring within her. "Don't let go," Marcus urged, gripping Lila's hand tighter. His knuckles were white, but the determination in his eyes sparked a rare confidence in her. "Keep pushing. We are stronger together," Lila shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. The light pulsed in rhythm with their unity, each heartbeat a reminder of their shared struggle, their shared truth. A chorus of defiance filled the air again, more powerful, more resolute. "We are not our pasts." In an instant, the figure's mocking laughter turned to a shriek of fury. "You think you can defy me? You are nothing more than fragments of your failures." But the shadows were thinning. Lila could feel it, the darkness was retreating, losing its hold, and with it the choking grip of despair. Behind the creature, the altar erupted, the glow intensifying. It was as if the very ground was shedding its darkness, revealing a brilliant white light beneath. "Look!" Jake pointed. "The altar." Lila's breath caught in her throat. Emerging from the radiant glow were reflections, images of their pasts, each moment swirling in the light like whispers turned tangible. Her childhood home, the first time she felt betrayed, the laughter from days spent with friends under bright skies. "No." The figure hissed, as the images grew stronger, brighter. "You cannot confront them. You are weak." "Maybe it's you who is weak," May challenged, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "You hide in the dark, fearful of the light we hold." Lila felt her heart thump in agreement. "This is our strength. We see you for what you are, a figment of our fears." With each proclamation, the shadows shrank, writhing as if in pain. Lila's resolve surged again, pushing forward. "Embrace your truths. Remember your victories." The figures danced around the altar, dreams and failures woven together as a tapestry of their lives. The light seemed to call out to each of them individually, igniting a fire in their chests that no shadow could extinguish. Just then, the ground beneath them trembled violently, threatening to swallow them whole. "Stay grounded," Marcus yelled as they struggled to hold on. Lila clenched her teeth, forcing fear out of her heart. "No. We won't be taken." She focused on the bright memories, as vivid as the light cascading before them. "This is who we are. Unbreakable." Suddenly the ground gave way to swollen fissures, but they would not let go. The light intensified, a blinding cascade that surged upward, splitting the shadows like lightning. The figure let out a howl, one of furious desperation, as it was consumed by the bright energy, but Lila, heart racing, felt a sudden shift. The light flickered, dimmed, and for a moment, dread coiled back in her chest like an old friend. What if they weren't strong enough? What if it was all a trick? Then she noticed something in the corner of her eye, a flicker of darkness amid the light, a glimmering form coalescing just outside the pulsing barrier. Lila's stomach dropped. What is that?" The shadows retreated, revealing a new silhouette, one that felt eerily familiar. Eyes as cold as ice stared back at her, full of knowing and chaos. It stepped forward, draped in the remnants of fear, mocking her in the warmth of the encroaching light. "Did you really think you could defeat your past?" It whispered, voice echoing through the air like a long-forgotten memory. You are only just beginning to understand. Lila shivered, realization dawning like a dark cloud. Something had awakened, stirring with hunger, and she could not shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much darker truth. As the light pulsed again with urgency, Lila's thoughts raced. What had they invited back? What truth was emerging, and could they withstand the revelation when it finally broke free? The figure loomed, waiting. The ground quaked once more, revealing cracks that split the light from which they had drawn strength, leaving them on the brink of something terrifying. The figure stepped closer, its presence chilling the air around them. Lila's heart pounded in her chest, a rhythm of fear that matched the tremors in the ground. The familiar face was too much to bear, a reflection of her own past mistakes and regrets. She felt the warmth of the light flicker, as if uncertain in the face of this new threat. "Stay together," Marcus urged, his voice strong despite the disarray. The others nodded, their faces betraying the same uncertainty that gnawed at Lila. Had they truly won? Or had they merely awakened something worse? "We have to confront it." Lila found her voice. "It's a part of us, we can't let it take control." As she spoke, the figure dissolved into an amalgamation of shadow and flickering light, blending their memories. Joy met sorrow, victory intertwined with defeat. Each twist of its form whispering doubts, laced with their failures. "You think you can hide from me?" it hissed, circling them like a predatory bird. "Every smile you remember, every memory of triumph, they all came with a price. You are stained, Lila. Just like your past." The words sliced through the air, and Lila flinched. It was true, wasn't it? Their pasts were marked by moments she wished to erase. Each failure loomed larger, a weight she feared would anchor her to darkness forever, but the others tightened their grip. May's eyes burned with defiance. "We will not fall back into despair. Our past shaped us, but it does not define us." Lila nodded, her fear morphing into a fierce resolve. "Together, we are whole. We are not incomplete fragments of our histories." The shadows writhed, retreating slightly, as though weakened by their unity. The light grew brighter again, cutting through the tension like a knife. But that flicker of darkness stayed, pulsing at the edges, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. "Your strength comes from your denial." The figure mocked, its voice a cacophony of their pasts. "The truth is poisonous, you're all just afraid to taste it." A cold sweat trickled down Lila's back. What would happen if they faced the truth? Would the weight of their failures crush them? Or would they rise like the phoenix, stronger for being scorched? Suddenly, the ground split open beneath them, a chasm of darkness opening wide, threatening to swallow them whole. Lila saw it, felt the very core of her fear crawl up her spine. "No. We are more than these shadows." In that moment, snippets of their memories surged to the forefront. Lila's first prize at a science fair, the wild laughter of friends at summer camp, the warmth of hugs from her mother. Each recalled moment became fuel and ember, breathing life into the light around them. "We are our victories," she shouted, feeling the metallic taste of courage in her mouth. The light pushed back against the encroaching chasm, fighting the dark tide. But the figure was relentless, warping and twisting, feeding on their doubts. "It's too late. You have already lost." It lunged forward, and Lila could see the remnants of her insecurities reflected in its hollow eyes. Time seemed to slow as she stumbled back. The shadows swirled around her, despair thickening the air. Yet a defiant spark ignited deep within Lila's core. "No. You are not my weakness. I choose to remember differently." In one frantic surge, she released the light within, voicing her truths. "I am not defined by past mistakes. My pain has forged my strength." As the glow surged forth, Lila felt an incredible rush not just of energy, but of a deeper connection to her friends. Their hands intertwined, forming a barrier against the darkness threatening to shatter their bond. In that instant, reality splintered. A rift opened, brighter than the sun. The creature howled, a sound of anguish and desperation, as it struggled against the powerful light. Face it. Lila cried, her voice echoing. Face our past and let the truth set us free. The darkness quaked, the shadowy figure dissolving into the brilliance. But even amidst the brilliance, Lila sensed something vital shifting, a different power rising in the contrived space between their reality and a dark abyss. As the light blazed, she couldn't shake the feeling that they had merely scratched the surface. Something else lurked within the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. What would they discover once the dark veil was fully lifted? And would they survive the truth that lay waiting in the depths? The uncertainty wrapped around her like vines, as the ground continued to tremble beneath them, heralding the revelation that was about to unfold. The light flooded their surroundings, illuminating the chasm that had threatened to engulf them. Lila felt the warmth spread through her limbs, electrifying her spirit. The screams of the shadowy figure faded, replaced by a moment of almost serene silence. But it didn't last. Beneath the calm lay a sinister undercurrent, a whisper of malevolence still coursing through the air. Keep holding on. Marcus shouted, his voice strong, but Lila could see the threads of anxiety in his eyes. It was like being caught in a storm, relentless all around them, even as the brightness surged forward. But something had changed. The darkness wasn't simply retreating, it seemed to pulsate, gathering strength in its shadowy depths. Tendrils snaked out, looming closer with every heartbeat. You think you can banish me that easily? The whispers taunted, chilling Lila to her core. You are not so pure. Not so innocent. The air felt thick, oppressing. Every breath came as a struggle, woven with doubt. What did we unleash? Lila thought, her pulse quickening. Despair clawed at her mind. Could the light truly prevail? In an instant, the shadows coalesced again into the figure, their worst fears laid bare on its warped visage. Each friend bore the weight of their own insecurities. Look at what you hide. It crooned, its voice dripping with contempt. Your regrets, your failures, they're not as easily erased as you imagine. They're a part of you. They feed me. May gasped next to Lila, her voice trembling. No. We won't let them define us. But Lila hesitated, remembering the ache of her past, the times she had let down those she loved, the painful moments that replayed in her dreams. She glimpsed her own mistakes twisting into that figure's form. Maybe it's right. Maybe we are flawed. No. Marcus interjected, breaking that thread of despair. Flaws make us human. We grow from them. They bring us together. His determination rippled through their linked hands, like a lifeline. Suddenly, the figure howled, an ear-splitting sound that shattered Lila's reverie. You don't know the true price of your past. The truth is more sinister than you can even imagine. It lunged again, teeth sharp as knives, desperate to drag them back into shadows. Just then, Lila's memories surged anew, her brother's laugh, the quiet pride in her mother's eyes, the bond she had built with each friend beside her. They surged into her mind like a tide of shimmering light. We are not alone in this. She shouted, her voice fierce, steady. Together, we are unstoppable. At those words, she felt the light around them swell, a vibrant energy fueled by their unity. It pushed against the monstrous figure, forcing it to recoil. Thin streams of light rifled through the darkness, painting the air in brilliant streaks, but beneath their united front, the shadows still writhed. The figure hissed, weakening momentarily but not defeated. You will pay for this defiance. But know this, you are not prepared for what lurks beyond. A low rumbling echoed through the ground again, more ominous than before. Lila felt a shift, as though reality itself warped around their focused light. The darkness didn't just threaten to devour them, it seemed to twist time and space, pulling at the very fabric of their world. Lila glanced at her friends, their eyes wide, fear etched in their features. What if it finds a way to bring something worse? She murmured. In that moment, the air grew electric with tension. It felt as if the shadows were waiting, biding their time to strike. And suddenly, she knew. The truth, the terrifying truth, was waiting to be uncovered. It overwhelmed her, a crushing weight of fear and dread. "Breathe, Lila," May whispered, squeezing her hand tighter. "Whatever it is, we face it together." But just as Lila opened her mouth to speak, the ground trembled violently beneath them, cracks spreading like veins through the earth. What lay beneath them? And would they be able to weather the storm that threatened to tear them apart? As they braced for the impending collision, Lila couldn't shake the feeling that what lurked in the shadows was only the beginning of something far more sinister, and darker truths whispered just out of reach. What was it that awaited them in that foreboding darkness? Lila felt her heart pound as the ground shook and the shadows danced wildly around them. The figure, twisted and blackened by their fears, spiraled into a vortex of rage, echoing their doubts with every taunt it hurled. "You think this light can save you?" it shrieked, each word clawing at Lila's sanity. "It will only expose your deepest scars. Don't listen to it." Marcus shouted, his voice fierce against the clamor of despair. "Remember who we are." Sarah stepped forward, her jaw set with determination. "Together, we are stronger than the shadows. We have faced our truths, we will not let them consume us." As fear pulsed through her veins, Lila knew it was time to reclaim the power they had awakened. She tightened her grip on her friend's hands. "This isn't just about fighting the darkness. It's about embracing our pasts." Suddenly, a bright flash erupted from the altar, illuminating the clearing in a warm, golden glow. The shadows recoiled, shrieking and writhing as the light revealed the essence of each moment they had shared. Joy erupted in vibrant colors, days spent at summer camp, laughter shared over late-night talks, and the thrill of new victories. Each memory emerged, fortifying their resolve against the encroaching darkness. "Focus on what we have overcome," Jake cried out, his voice a beacon cutting through the haze. "Remember each other." With renewed hope, Lila closed her eyes and let the memories flood her mind, each perfect moment a lifeline anchoring her in the storm. "I am not alone," she proclaimed, feeling the chorus of her friends echo in spirit. A wave of light surged from the altar, pulsing vibrantly and sweeping across the clearing, pushing against the figure that threatened to engulf them. "Your words hold no power," the figure screeched, its form wobbling under the pressure. "You cannot face me. You have no idea what awaits." "Then show us." Lila's voice came out louder than she intended, flames of courage licking at her spirit. "We are done hiding." The shadows shuddered as she challenged the looming dread. "Bring it," she shouted, reclaiming her strength. "We will confront whatever dark truth you think will break us." In response, the figure morphed, revealing swirling visions of their worst fears, moments of betrayal, disappointment, and heartbreak. It charged forward, tendrils of despair snaking toward them. But Lila stood firm. "Those moments do not define us," she shouted, feeling the tether of her friend's hand strengthen around her. "We rise from them. We choose to believe in each other." The light burst forth again, brighter than ever, and laughter echoed as their memories coalesced into a brilliant shield. Each friend's voice swirled like a melody that resonated through the darkness. Jeers from the figure fell silent beneath their unified roar, a cacophony of strength that shook the very ground they stood on. The shadows began to splinter, screaming in terror as the radiant energy drove the figure back. "This isn't over," it hissed, its voice receding as the brightness swallowed its presence. "You may have pushed me back today, but I will return." Lila felt a thrill ignite inside her as the darkness pulled away, unraveling like threads of a spider's web. "Let it come," Marcus declared, a newfound strength in his stance. "We will always stand together." The air stirred, sweet with relief as sunlight slowly broke through the veil, chasing shadows away. The clearing brightened, revealing the serene beauty of Eldergrove in the early dawn, basked in golden light. The serpent, no longer menacing, lay dormant, gleaming with a wisdom that seemed to nod toward the group. Did we really do it?" May's voice trembled with disbelief, her eyes scanning the transformed landscape. Sarah's shoulders relaxed for the first time, a cautious smile breaking across her face. I think we did. We faced our fears and came out the other side together. Lila felt the warmth of friendship blossom in her chest. They had challenged the darkness and encountered their fears, yet emerged with a deeper understanding of what it meant to stand united. As they turned to leave, the sun graced the horizon, casting away the last of the night's shadows. The village of Eldergrove, once filled with eerie whispers, now buzzed with life again. The warmth of a fresh start filled the air, and for the first time, Lila breathed freely, finally feeling at peace. With one final glance back at the silent serpent, Lila could feel the hope filling her heart to the brim. They had unlocked the chains of their past and found liberation in truth, binding them together in an unbreakable bond, and there you have it, folks. The thrilling finale to the tale of the bronze serpent. If you don't want to miss out on more exclusive stories like this, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to keep the love flowing. Make sure to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. I can't wait to read what you think. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who you think would love this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference.